He was standing there and I was like, who is that? I need to be friends with him. What's up, guys? Welcome to Get Off the Mic. It is my very first episode and I am so excited. Hey, round of applause. Especially, we can cut the applause now. Especially because I have an amazing guest today. Morgoth, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Are you like, do you feel so honored to be my first guest?
I could die tomorrow.
Checking this off your bucket list?
Oh, just can barely talk right now. I'm so
he's speechless, guys. All right, so let me explain like why it's called Get Off the Mic. I'm Lexi, if I didn't introduce myself properly. I'm a DJ. One of my biggest pet peeves, and you can tell me your opinion about this, is when DJs are like on the mic all the time to cover like their shitty transitions or whatever. Like a DJ who's on the mic all the time drives me insane. So that's why I called this Get Off the Mic, even though it doesn't really make sense because we are on the mic. We're talking music. We're not listening to music, but we're talking music. And that's where you come in.
It's like a bald guy named Harry. I love it.
Perfect. Yeah, exactly. So Morgoth, thank you for coming. Guys, Morgoth is a Grammy nominated producer. Thank you. He is an incredible guitarist, literally blows my mind, and a songwriter, and he's worked with probably some of your guys' favorite artists, such as Machine Gun Kelly, Juice WRLD, Kid Cudi, Lil Xan, and many, many more.
Yeah.
So you're kind of a big deal.
I don't know if I'd say that, but you know,
He is. I'm a fan. I'm literally a fan. I met Morgoth. We met at a Lil Xan music video.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I almost told you to wear this jacket because I knew I wanted to tell this story. He was standing there and I was like, who is that? I need to be friends with him. Like the jacket was everything.
Oh, the stud one, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, Mm-hmm. I have it.
And I walked up to him and I'm like, tipsy because who doesn't take shots at a Lil Xan video, right? But so that's how we met. And then we've worked on music together. We've become pretty good friends, I'd say.
Yeah, definitely.
So let's hop into it. Like, let's go way back. Where did you come from? Let's go to the beginning. Like, where were you conceived? Where are you from? Where you grow up? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So I grew up in like North County, San Diego area, like Oceanside, Vista. And then through like half of middle school and high school, I lived in Taos, New Mexico, which is like an hour from Colorado, like right by Santa Fe.
Nice. Okay, and when did you get into producing?
So like I started playing guitar and like starting my own little like punk and metal bands and stuff in high school. And I just learned how to record a little bit from doing that, just from like recording my own bands and stuff. So that was kind of the start of it, was just learning how to like set up microphones and just all the basic shit.
Are we talking like a garage band style or
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, cool.
Exactly. From there, I when I moved out here to LA, like right after high school, I went to recording school and stuff. And
where'd you go?
Lars, like Los Angeles Recording School.
Oh, nice.
So I have like a bachelor's degree and all that. But
so like, would you say to people, like, would you recommend them going that route or no?
I would only recommend it if you're like really, really serious about it. It does like kind of fast track your learning a bit. But nowadays with the internet, like being what it is, I don't know if I would all the way recommend it because you could learn pretty much everything you learn in recording school, like just online.
And like, would you say it's more like being out in LA, making those connections rather than having like a degree in it?
Yeah, having a degree in it means nothing.
Right.
To be honest.
Right.
It's that kind of career where it really, the only thing that matters is
totally
if you're like doing it every day.
So like when I was in high school, I definitely hung out with like the guys who had like the garage bands, and they would put me on to like all this cool music. And I saw that you work with Black Veil Brides.
Yeah.
And that was like one of their favorites. So if my high school boyfriend is watching this, like, I made it. I'm interviewing Morgoth. He's worked with Black Veil Brides. So tell me about what it was like working with them.
Yeah, it was sick. I did a remix of the song called Temple of Love with them, and it had featured Vivi from Him, which is really cool because I like him a lot. And yeah, they're really cool. I've had a couple writing sessions with the guys, and yeah, Andy and all them they're really nice.
Like, I feel like you could, looking at a lot of these artists, you wouldn't expect them to be how they are. I mean, even like you, like looking at you, I wouldn't expect you to be like, you're like one of the sweetest people I know, but like you look intimidating, like covered head to toe in tattoos. Like, have you like noticed that in them?
Yeah. I mean, I think the idea of like people being heavily tattooed also being like scumbags is maybe a little bit not the normal anymore. Even though I do know a lot of people who are scumbags who are heavily tattooed too. So I guess
so like just because you're heavily tattooed doesn't mean you're a scumbag. Is that what you're getting at?
I would say that. Yeah, I would say that.
I would say you're absolutely not a scumbag. Like, at least from my experience, maybe others would say it differently. No, just kidding. But okay, so yeah, no, that's awesome. Your band now, I know you have like a huge band project going on with some really, really great people involved.
Yeah, I'm very excited about it.
So can you tell me about that?
Yeah, so yeah, it's my new band. We just released our first song ever. It's called 7 Hours After Violet, or Shav for short.
Okay.
And yeah, it's featuring Shavo from System of a Down.
I was going to ask you about what it's like working with him.
It's incredible. I've been a fan of System of a Down since I was like 10 years old, or like 9 years old probably. So to get to be in a band and write music with someone from one of my favorite bands is definitely a high five to my younger self sort of thing, you know?
Hell yeah. Was that one of like, have you worked with him before? Or is this your first?
You know, no, this kind of, we started writing together and it just became this band basically.
Hell yeah.
We were going to write music for other bands, just, you know, as you do. And we started writing music and I was just like, I can't really show this to anybody because I don't think this sounds like anybody. So we should just turn this into, well, at first it started with like, it was just going to be his solo album.
Oh, okay.
And we were just going to do like a DJ Khaled of like metal sort of thing and just get like all these different features. Yeah.
Right.
But we ended up liking it so much that he was like, we can't really tour off that and like do it for real. Like it would just be like a cool album that comes and goes. He's like, I'd rather make this like a real project.
Oh, yeah.
So he wanted to get a singer and have it be like a real band.
When I was at your studio, I got to see some of the other members of the band that were practicing.
Yeah.
It was like the garage band from high school, but this garage was like over $500,000 worth of equipment and stuff. I was like, whoa, this is crazy. I loved what I heard. It was awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm really stoked on it. I love producing and all that, but my other band, Winds of Plague, like, you know, we were really popular for a long time and we did it like really, really seriously for a long time, but we kind of have been like on hiatus-y a little bit for a while because everyone has their own careers. Mm-hmm. So it's cool to start something new.
What was like your favorite show with, well, I mean, I'm sure you've played guitar in a lot of bands too. Like, what's been your favorite performance experience?
That's tough. I've played a lot of really cool festivals and stuff. Like Winds of Plague, which is like the biggest thing I've done, which, you know, we are like a pretty decently sized like deathcore band. The band was like a pioneer of that genre.
Oh, wow.
So we played New England Metal and Hardcore Festival a couple times, and that's in Boston. And those shows went nuts. So that was very memorable. I've played a bunch of like crazy shows too, where like the memorable stuff is like how the audience reacted.
Yeah.
Like just violence stuff, you know?
Oh my God, like mosh pitting.
Yeah. There's nothing kind of like playing like heavy riffs and watching people like kill each other over it. It's kind of the funnest thing ever.
Does that like get you off? Like,
yeah, it's fun. It's really fun.
See, this is like, I've been to some of these shows like because the EDM community is so like, I don't know, like if you're walking, trying to get through the crowd, they're like, go ahead. Yeah. And that's like one thing that I love about, you know, the EDM scene. But like when it comes to that genre, it's like, you guys are all about like the mosh pits and you're like jumping on each other. And I'm just like, oh my God, I'm scared and I'm running the other way.
I feel like there's like a sector of EDM that's like that too, though, like with like Sullivan King and like all that sort of stuff.
I just saw him recently. It was awesome, but I was in VIP. No. So I was not in the mosh pit.
That's okay. That's kind of my life now too.
Like, literally, like, when's the last mosh pit you participated in?
Last time I did that, I hurt my hand and I couldn't like play guitar very well so I've been in like mosh retirement since then.
Yeah. Those days are over. Those days are over. Let's talk about your viral TikTok moment.
Okay.
Can we watch it? Can we pull it up?
All right, time to remove the Sanoderm off this guy. A little addition to it.
Oh my God. Okay, does that hurt getting the whole, what is a woof, right? That's a woof?
Yeah.
So guys, he has a woof tattooed. It's the same size as his face on the side of his head.
Yeah, I have two of them.
Is this painful?
Pulling the Sanoderm off is a little painful, yeah.
Is the process, and how long did this take?
I've honestly kind of lost track of time on like how many sessions I've done on it and stuff.
Oh.
It's been a while. It's been a lot.
That's insane. But there was like a lot. This video went super viral. Do people like recognize you from it?
Yeah, like I went to Fiji a few months ago and I got recognized in Fiji for it, which is pretty nuts.
It's always
that's a small
like,
island.
Yeah, when I was in Dubai, like the one TikTok that I did that like went super viral, it was me singing, like doing the Savage dance, but making a hangover song about it, about how there was literally puke on my floor. And of course, like the one freaking video that people were like, oh, aren't you the hungover girl? I'm like, I do not want to be known as the hungover girl. At least your video is dope. Like you have dope art all over your body. Like,
yeah, I'm
like, oh, this bitch is drunk and doesn't know how to handle her alcohol.
I mean, I'm sure my comment section is just as
your
vicious.
Comment section is crazy.
But I kind of like it because it makes me feel like I did a good job as far as picking art, because I feel like the best art is like challenging.
Oh.
So the fact that like some people have such like a vicious like negative reaction to it and other people have such like a like overwhelming positive reaction to it makes, there's not really much in the middle. It's either people telling me they love it or people telling me like to like jump off a bridge, you know, which is what I want.
Do you get that? Like, so you get that reaction online? Do you ever get that in person, especially if you're in like small towns? People don't like.
I only get positive.
At you?
I only get positive feedback from it.
See, isn't that the freaking trolls, man?
I mean, going up to someone and like being like, "Hey, your tattoo's stupid" in person, especially to someone who has like tattoos on their face, is a dicey thing to do. You know?
Right. Oh, I would be like, I remember, I told my mom, I was like, "Oh, I'm going to the studio with Morgoth." She wants to know everything. I call her 6 times a day. Like I was like, oh yeah, he's super cool, like sweetest guy ever. And I was like, she was like, oh, let me see. Like, so I sent her our picture.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, he looks scary. I'm like, yeah, but he's the sweetest person I've ever met in my life.
That's so funny.
So like, it's literally to me, like it's an expression and creativity and literally art. Like I love the vibe you have going on, but it was a big thing in the comments. I know you made like a response video about this, how like, oh, people with tattoos have self-esteem issues or whatever.
Yeah. Like when I said that in the video, I guess I didn't really make myself overly clear because that was when TikTok only had the minute long videos thing. So I couldn't, but to me it was like, improving your self-esteem is just like, oh, this looks cool. So like, I feel like that's it. Like, it's not like that deep of a thing, you know?
It's like when I have on
like when you put on a shirt that's cool, it's like, oh, tight. You know, it's like small things. It's not like having tattoos is going to fix like any deep-seated issues you have.
People went in on that.
And people hate more the fact that it's a face tattoo than they do like what it is, I've noticed. Where like I think it's just, even though everyone and their grandma has tattoos nowadays, it's
Literally.
really not that big a deal.
It's 2024.
Yeah, and for me, it's like I have a producing career, so like I don't really have to.
Yeah, you don't need to cover your tattoos for a job interview. Like,
yeah, and I just have a lot of examples of people who are heavily tattooed in my life who are really hyper successful. So
when did you start getting your face tattooed?
After the Juice WRLD song went platinum, I knew I wanted was like a #1 song. I knew I wanted, because I had my neck and all that stuff, and I was like, I want a face tattoo, but I want to get something a little more like unique and stuff. So I thought about it for like years. Since I was like a teenager, I've been trying to figure out like what to do with it, and then I figured out, I was like, oh, it'd be cool to do something like more realism. And honestly, like kind of ironically, I like those gas station shirts with wolves on them. You know what I mean? Like where it's, I just always loved that art. So I wanted something kind of like with that vibe.
So like, is there more meaning to it than a gas station shirt?
Yeah, I've just always kind of joked like wolves are like my spirit animal sort of thing.
Yeah.
And so that was really it. Like it's not, like I just like what they represent. And also the artist who did it, I'm just a big fan of his portrait work. So more than anything, it's
who was it that did
his name's Cody Duran. He's really dope. He's done like a lot of tattoos I have. He did like my whole head and everything.
Wow.
But yeah, so it did go super viral on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, like all of it. I still get lots of comments every day, like from it.
That video is
crazy.
Still everywhere. That's so crazy.
Yeah, I get recognized a lot for it, so it's
like,
fine,
oh, they're recognizing you for this TikTok. Little do they know that you've produced like #1 records, platinum records, Grammy nominated.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
Is that like, how's that like as a producer? You're behind the scenes, and it's like not everyone necessarily. I mean, for some of the stuff, obviously you're more like with the bands and everything. You're more upfront, but with producing, how, like, what's that like? Like, people sometimes probably like don't know.
It's kind of funny because that was kind of why I haven't like doubled down on making like just a lot of tattoo content, because I didn't really want like just to be like overly known as just like, even if it would mean I'd get like more famous. I kind of find people who make like tattoos their whole personality a little cringe. You know, like it's
Doesn't
just tattoos.
Define you.
Yeah, it's just tattoos. Like it's not that big a deal. So I haven't because of producing. I worry like that would like hurt my producing career to be like cringe in that way.
There's such like a fine line, I feel like, now with TikTok versus your career. Oh, they're just a TikToker. Like, you don't want to be seen as a TikTok. You know, it's just, it's a fine line. It's a gray area.
Yeah. Like, it's cool people recognize me. Like, that's fun, you know, and all that. But at the end of the day, like, I have like a larger goal as a producer. Massive. You know?
Massive. What was your first experience? Who was it that you were working with that you were like, oh, this is going to be my career?
So I started like producing for like metal and hardcore bands and stuff in LA. My first band called Goliath, when we came out with music, that was the first time I ever released anything that anyone cared about, you know, where like we got very popular locally, and that started to spread a little bit before I joined my other band, Winds of Plague, who was like a bigger band. But like that first band kind of made me like, oh, like I can make money off this. And and I would like record other bands who were in the scene with us. But kind of simultaneously while that was happening, I have a lot of friends who are hip hop producers. And like one of my friends, John. So me and him went to middle school and high school together, and he would make beats. You know, I play guitar. But I'd play guitar on like some of his beats and stuff like that. So him and like a couple of my other friends, like were making beats for the SoundCloud, the first wave of SoundCloud artists. And I was able to just I was already producing rock bands and stuff. So learning to make beats was kind of just a pretty easy transition for me, you know? So I would go from playing guitar and their stuff just to like, I was like, oh, I could do this. So I started making beats, and luckily there was this whole scene of newer, like alternative
SoundCloud era. So would you like Little Xan? Like, wasn't that how?
It was a little before Xan.
Okay.
So like the first person I would credit as like really making me like, oh, I could be like a real hip hop producer was, I was working with this dude Omen 13 a lot, and he was part of like Schema Posse's, like Little Peep and Ghostman and all them. So that was like, and Bones was another big one who was like where he is like first wave SoundCloud artists who they were basically like metal punk kids who were like starting to make rap, and like I just related to that a lot because I've always loved rap too. And yeah, so I started making beats for those dudes, and then we were just kind of on the same like wavelength of like just making like darker versions of hip hop.
Like that. Yeah, it's a niche that like a lot of people are drawn to because it's more like, I feel like there's a lot more like emotion behind it than.
And it just became like mainstream after. So I really just kind of bet on the right horse, you know, like to me, it was kind of a thing where I saw where like the direction of the music was going. It was kind of like getting darker, more like metal and rock influenced. So I was just early to it. I was, you know, luckily. And a lot of the artists who I ended up producing for ended up becoming like pretty big artists.
That's amazing.
Like Xan, for example.
That is amazing. Juice WRLD. I want to know, like he was one of my favorite artists, and like I want to hear what that was like in creating with him. And do you feel like because of like the darker nature of the sound in the genre, like how that affects people with mental health and all that?
That was amazing. I feel like, you know, producing on that album, like Death Race for Love, is kind of like producing on like Nirvana's In Utero or something like that. You know, it's like
that's
timeless.
History. That is history.
Yeah, like that's like my favorite thing I've done for sure, just because you can't really like top it at this point, you know, where it was like the last album he ever made while he was alive. Crazy. But yeah, I don't know. I think the song we made is really sick.
I love it.
Yeah, well, I'm really stoked on it. I mean, he's just such a good songwriter, and so it was such a good he was really good at like freestyling and songwriting, which is a rare combo.
The freestyles that I watch on YouTube, like there's this one that I just can't get enough of. But so when you worked with him, would he go the freestyle route, or
he does like a mix where that's what I mean by it's like a rare combo, because usually people who are like freestyle battle rapper type people aren't really great songwriters because you kind of put all your discipline into like that craft, you know, and like songwriting is its own craft. But he was also a really good singer and songwriter. So like the ability to kind of like go like in between those two things is like what's rare. So he just kind of freestyled the song idea a couple of times over, you know, and then just picks the best parts of it and then goes back in and does like his layers and all that stuff. Right. But yeah, it's pretty much just like he just freestyle song ideas and then puts the best thing together.
That's amazing. And the record you worked on with him,
Won't Let Go.
Yeah. Great record. What about working with Machine Gun Kelly?
Yeah, that was sick. He's really cool. You know, we've been friends for a while now. Yeah, that was that was kind of like a lightning in the bottle situation.
Yeah, how did this happen? Like MGK, what? I think it's because you both have like tattoos all over.
It's kind of funny. Actually, it's kind of funny. Like the Sid and Nancy song happened was me and my friend KJ, who I made the instrumental with, the original instrumental with, we had made the instrumental, and I went to his house with his drummer Rook, and he has like a little studio on the side, and me and Rook and like bass and all like his band members, we were like just fucking around, just like making some stuff. And yeah, he just like came in the room, and one of them had to leave or something, so he left, and I was like just kind of left there holding a guitar, and I was like, I have some instrumental ideas I could show you. And he was like, okay, for whatever, yeah. And so I ended up playing him that, and he was like, oh, sick. So he just sat and he started writing it.
No way.
Yeah, and it was actually like the crazy thing about it, like the tea about it was like, there are little like lines and stuff in the thing that are like taken from like direct conversations he's had with like Megan and stuff in the past. So it's pretty crazy. But he, just kind of like sat down and just like knocked out like half the song. And this was actually like right before Tickets to My Downfall went out. So this was like before mainstream sellout, you know. So luckily the album like survived that whole cycle because it was too late to go on Tickets to My Downfall or too early. Like it was early for it's probably one of the first ones he wrote for mainstream sellout, honestly.
Wow. So like, were you like nervous to be like, oh, let me play this? Or you were like, because it can be intimidating. I mean,
I wouldn't say I was too nervous.
But like, you're badass and know that your music is badass. But were you like, was there any? I
mean, there's like an element of like, hopefully he likes this because it would be sick to do a song together.
But it's like, okay, nothing to fucking lose. Like,
yeah, whatever. I mean, you just have to kind of jump on those opportunities, you know, where I wanted to work with him for a while. So I was like, oh, well, I'm in a studio with him and now we have nothing to do because the dude who was running the computer just had to leave. So,
wow.
So I was like, I just might as well just like, I have some stuff I think he might like. So I'll just play
and then
it for
you
him.
like consistently.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're consistently working with him now, right?
Yeah, he's done like a handful of stuff on some of the ideas. I get like, I want this kind of stuff. I want this kind of stuff, you know, from him. And then I just like make him ideas and text them to him.
Right.
And so hopefully there will be new stuff from us.
And there was literally like, he took lines from messages you said with Megan.
Yeah.
Are they like a drama couple? I feel like they kind of are. I mean, I don't know.
I haven't really like seen in person much like dramatic stuff, like overly dramatic stuff. They're both very nice.
It out in the music.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. You know,
okay, the first time you've come in, you got to meet Megan Fox.
Yes, I have.
Oh my God, times. I would have. She's so hot, man. Ooh.
She's very nice. She's a very nice person. Yeah.
Wow.
She compliments my instrumentals and stuff often and stuff. It's pretty cool.
That is so sick. That is like the biggest flex in the world.
It's kind of tight for sure. Yeah, whenever I see her, she's like, "Oh, we love your instrumentals. Like you're really talented."
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like you're not with your production. You're not just like using, you know, samples of, you know, like you are a true musician, which is amazing, and the way that you play. And
I'm like a fan of her movies too. So like aside from it just being like Megan Fox, you know, it's like, oh, she's like a talented person.
Yeah,
so it's like I respect her as a
for sure. Transformers, like that's when I was like, oh my gosh, role model. Like I want to be like Megan Fox.
I could see that.
Yeah, she's awesome. You're like living every guy's dream. Okay, what's like the most fucked up thing about the music industry?
Definitely people like predatorily like taking younger producers and artists like percentages away from them.
Oh,
I would say. Basically, yeah, probably older, experienced people like preying on people's like naivety about.
And like, there's so like much publishing. When it comes to like that side of music that young artists wouldn't know. And like,
yeah, you think you like sign a contract and then you get like a certain amount of money up front, but then you don't know that like, oh, that's the only money you're going to get. And they're just going to take all the rest of it.
All your rights away.
Yeah, that sort of thing without, you know.
What would be your advice? Get an entertainment lawyer.
I mean, really, yeah, it's pretty basic, but it's worth getting a lawyer before you sign anything. Definitely to have someone, or you have to also just learn. It's tough because it's so much dense information, but even just learning like the differences between like your mastering royalties and like your publishing royalties, and
knowing like, what's what,
just knowing where your money comes from, you know, and knowing like when something's worth, you know, giving like percentages away to a company and what they're gonna like bring to you in store stuff like that, you know, is definitely handy. It's tough because it's like creative people usually being like very business minded is not a common thing. That was gonna be
my next point. You know, it's like people are there for the passion of the art, doing it for that reason, and might turn their heads to the business aspect of things and be excited about, oh, here's this opportunity, I should take it. But
yeah, just
sometimes it's better to like step away from it totally.
Just surrounding yourself with someone who, or at least like people who know more than you is ideal.
For sure.
Like someone who you at least like trust as a friend or something, who like will at least know, you have to be self-aware enough to know that this person is like knows more than me. So before you sign anything or do anything like that, you could be like, hey, does this look right? Or does this sound...
Like, don't just,
look,
cool, opportunity sign.
Yeah.
You need to look into it.
Like stuff like in perpetuity and stuff that means forever, and then stuff like that where you're not even going to know the word.
Yeah. And like being like, I grew up in like the acting world. So like, when you're like young and naive and not educated fully on the industry, like it can be, so that's definitely important. What other advice would you have for people wanting to be in a similar career as you?
Yeah, I mean, you just have to know you're going to like work a million times harder and like more often than what you're going to get back initially at first. You have to make a lot of music in order to have any of it come out.
Right.
Like, so that's something that can be a bummer, because you can make so much stuff that you think is really good, but it never goes anywhere and just sits on your laptop or whatever. And that's like a common thing, but you just can't really let that defeat you. You just have to kind of know.
Keep pushing.
Yeah, you just have to keep pushing, really. You just have to keep making music constantly, and you kind of try and work harder, not smarter, or work smarter, not harder. Yeah. Sorry. Like that MGK thing is a good example, putting yourself in like those sort of scenarios.
You have to put yourself out there.
Yeah, you have to like know, like, if I work with this person, or like if you want to work with said artist, it's more realistic that like if you collab with their producers or something like that, or their engineer, you have a better shot of getting to that artist.
Right.
So like kind of that would be like an example of smarter, not harder sort of thing, because the artist is really hard to get to. That's a really hard person to get to talk back to you. But their producers and stuff might be a little more attainable. And it's good too to work with like up and coming artists. Don't like just get caught in the game of just trying to produce for like huge artists, because if you help an artist blow up, it actually does a lot more for your career than if you just work with someone who's already established.
Right. That makes a lot of sense.
Like I worked for Juice WRLD and MGK and stuff, but they don't need me, right. Like there's a million other people who... You're
awesome. So.
I appreciate it. But like the reference is like... But like I worked with like Xan, for example, when he was like much smaller, and he like blew up, and I was able to like... That's a different example, of working with someone early.
Yeah.
So you got to just be able to like identify talent like before, everyone else sees it.
Is there any songs that you worked on that you maybe thought would be bigger but it weren't, or vice versa, songs that you were just like, oh, okay, it's this record, and then it like blew up?
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely had that. I have a song with this artist named Doobie featuring Kasky called Icy Titties. That is that's like really popular, and it keeps growing, and it's old now. It came out in like 2017 or something like that. And it's still getting like hundreds of thousands of views a week.
Yeah, Doobie's like popping.
Yeah, it's crazy. So I like constantly am surprised by like that song's like continuing to grow, like years later, I'm like, dang, these people are still listening to this. Damn, crazy.
The titties are, titties never lie. Forever. Like they're forever.
Titties are forever.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah, me and John did it, where I'm just like,
you really?
Yeah, where I'm just like, oh dang, this just paid for my rent for months.
Yeah, that's
like every
freaking
quarter.
Awesome. All right, if you could take like a magic wand and add something to your year, what would it be?
Probably another
a girlfriend. No, just kidding.
That's okay. I probably wouldn't do good with a distraction. Probably another big song, honestly. I'll take another. Well,
I mean, I have no doubt in my mind. Or
even just another song I like a lot. Like whether it's super successful or not, as long as I like it a lot. That's like the most important thing.
Yeah.
You got to make music you like.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. What do you have coming up that the viewers could be excited for?
Yeah, so my new band, we're playing our first show. I don't know if it's gonna be our first show ever, but like our first big festival in October with Bad Omens.
Can I come?
Yeah, it's in San Bernardino.
Oh, that's not far at all.
No, it's called Mayhem Fest. So
I'm coming.
yeah, it's gonna be sick. You should come. It's gonna be a lot of people, so I'm a little nervous about it. Where it's like
you're not. Take a few shots, you'll be good.
Like one of our first times playing, we'll be in front of like 30,000 people or something like that. So that's kind of insane.
Big show, yeah.
Kind of insane, you know. So we have that, and then we have more singles. We have an album coming out too that'll come out like pretty much around that time or right before it. Yeah, so I'm excited to get out and start playing live again.
Yeah, that adrenaline rush is like no other.
Yeah, it's great.
That's the thing about like DJing. I feel like I get more of that than like just because even playing like around LA.
Yeah.
You know, like when there's a big crowd, you still have that adrenaline rush. You know?
Totally. It's fun. It's super fun.
Even if you're not on tour or whatever. But
yeah, just the shows are fun, you know. And then we have, I don't think I can talk about the other stuff, but
tell us.
I can't because you know, but there is other stuff, shows and stuff from the band and festivals and stuff that we're playing that we'll be announcing soon.
Hell yeah.
And yeah, other than that, I have a lot of singles coming out, I think, from a lot of different artists. I just kind of songwrite like every day, so I don't always remember everything that's coming out all the time, but I definitely have a lot of stuff coming out. So
well, we're looking forward to it. Where can we follow you and find you online so that everyone can keep up?
Yeah, it's just at Morgoth Beats with a Z on everything.
Morgoth Beats. Ooh, that should be your producer tag.
Yeah, that's good.
I'm yelling in the microphone. Redlining. Sorry. Okay. Well, thank you. Oh my God, you're amazing.
Thank you so much for having me.
So much, guys. Thanks for watching. We had a great time, and we will see you next week.